Hey, thanks for tuning in. This video is going to be all about accessory dwelling units, both in Lane County, Eugene, and Springfield. Full disclosure, I am not a licensed contractor in the state of Oregon. I am not in the city planning or county planning office, so please do your due diligence. If you're interested in purchasing a property with an ADU or prospective ADU, or if you're going to potentially purchase a piece of land and develop an ADU, or build an ADU, right? We have to all do our due diligence and make sure we're getting all the right information. But I wanted to put this together all about ADUs in Lane County and what to really understand about the difference in each jurisdiction and understanding what you can and cannot do with those ADUs that's going to affect the ultimate real estate value. As a real estate broker, team leader, developer, investor, we're always looking at ways to add value, create more units, create more opportunities for value add with real estate. And I think this video will help anybody out there understand what you can do within the parameters of the research that is clear and present right in front of us. So first, I want to talk about the newest news. On August 29th, 2023, the Board of County Commissioners passed Ordinance 23-05 to allow ADUs on rural residential zone properties in rural areas of Lane County. The approved ordinance can be viewed here, and you can click on this link. I will put all of the links below in this video, and the staff is currently working on to create an application form and other materials to assist customers in applying for an ADU. Guys, I want to be really clear. Let me repeat this. The staff is currently working on to create an application form and other materials to assist customers in applying for an ADU. So as of right now, what this means is they don't even have their own permits process dialed in. And I've seen this both with the city of Eugene. I've both seen this on the county level. They pass things and then they scramble instead of passing things and having all of their ducks in a row. Yes, if you're a county commissioner and you hear me say that, I just said it. Get your stuff dialed. Make sure that if a law passes, you have the right instruments in order to enact and execute on that law. That I'm a very big proponent on that. Now, that being said, back in June 23rd, 2021, Governor Kate Brown signed in Senate Bill SB 391, which was a law that allows rural accessory dwelling units, ADUs, in rural residential areas subject to certain conditions. More information is also on a link down below, but I wanted to have just a brief understanding and overview of SB, not exhaustive list of SB 391, including all the additional requirements. Now, this is at the state level. This is what we call middle housing. This is what we call our ability to develop in rural areas these accessory dwelling units. So here they are. Counties may allow one ADU on land zoned rural residential if the following conditions are met. The county adopts an ordinance to allow ADUs in rural residential zoned areas. The lot or parcel is at least 2 acres in size. Let me repeat this. The lot or parcel is at least 2 acres in size. Yes, there is a lot of rural residential that is 1 acre or less, where a lot of people thought they were going to be able to build ADUs for potential Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rental uses. That is not the case with SB 391. One single family dwelling is sited on the lot or parcel, which means you cannot buy a separate parcel tax lot and put an ADU on it that doesn't have a single family dwelling already. The lot or parcel is served by a fire protection service provider. What this really means is that a fire department of some capacity can get to that lot. Okay. It complies with all applicable state laws relating to sanitation and wastewater disposal. What that means is septic permits as well as well drinking water and having the ability to be properly permitted. Next, one of the biggest ones. It is limited to 900 square feet of usable floor space. Guys, 900 square feet is pretty large. I just wanted to let you guys know that that is a substantial ADU in most cases, right? Where 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 is usually a single family, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house within 100 feet of the existing single family dwelling unit, okay? The lot or parcel and ADU comply with the rules of the State Board of Forestry under ORS 477.015 to 477.061 and Oregon Residential Specialty Code related to wildfire hazard mitigation. Guys, the delay in all of the rural residential ADU permitting was based upon this last bullet point. The the State Board of Forestry, and the Oregon Residential Specialty Code relating to wildfire hazard mitigation. The reason for that is that they created all these maps about fire hazards and then didn't know how to create permits for residential uses within these areas. Okay. Now, a couple things I want to review real quick here at the county level and prospectively the state level. The lot or parcel needs to be at least 2 acres in size. It's limited to 900 square feet of usable floor space. It has to be within 100 feet of the existing single-family dwelling, which I do not agree with. What happens if you have this beautiful luxury home and you need to build an ADU, but you want to put the ADU back by the pond or in the vineyard? You can't do it now, okay? So there's issues there. It has to be on a separate tax lot. And, guys, it cannot be utilized for vacation occupancy. Extremely big point here. A lot of people were banking on ADUs being built for VRBO, Airbnb, short-term rental stays. Now, vacation occupancy is different than midterm rental, long-term rental, or month-to-month rental agreements. I just want to be very clear here, okay? If it cannot be utilized for vacation occupancy, doesn't mean you can't rent it month to month, okay? The ADU also cannot be separated from the primary dwelling by a land division. And what that really means is that one parcel has a single-family dwelling unit on it, and then there's a parcel in between it, and then the ADU. It has to comply with that 100 feet of existing single-family dwelling unit, okay? You are not allowed in urban reserves and more than one ADU on a lot or parcel. So that means it's going to be one single-family dwelling unit plus one ADU within 100 feet of that existing dwelling unit and limited to 900 square feet of usable floor space on at least 2 acres or more when zoned rural residential, RR5, RR10, whatever the zoning is in the county jurisdiction, okay? For required development standards, adequate setbacks from adjacent land zones for resource use, adequate access for firefighting equipment, safe evacuations, staged evacuation areas, adequate defensible space and fuel break standards where the ADU is not subject to ORS 477 and other criteria or standards that may be adopted by the county. I do not like this last bullet point. Other criteria or standards that may be adopted by the county. What happens if they make a laundry list of standards or criteria that now makes it literally impossible to develop an ADU on your own property, right? So I think that is one of the biggest non-selling points of how our legislator moves forward in Salem is that they're giving the county too much leniency for other criteria or standards, okay? Now, the county process of implementation, a county must decide whether it allows ADUs or not. If yes, the Board of County Commissioners must adopt an ordinance to allow ADUs in the Lane County Code. Okay? The board will decide if they will like to adopt the text or bill, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read it all of it. Okay? But what I will let you know is that the Board of County Commissioners did allow on August 29, 2023, these SB 391 standards to come into effect. But staff is currently working on creating the application form and other materials to assist customers in applying for an ADU. Guys, yes, you could have just read that yourself, but I wanted to have a little commentary. I wanted to be able to provide you my resource-driven ability to look at real estate from a valuation perspective. You buy this beautiful property, it's zoned rural residential, you do your due diligence, and you are planning on creating more value by building an ADU. It has to be 900 square feet of usable floor space. It has to be 100 feet of the existing family dwelling. You bought more than 2 acres. You're trying to meet all of these standards to fit it into a box. So from a valuation standpoint, any real property that allows that feasibility to happen now is going to have more value if you build versus all these properties that are zoned rural residential that can't make all of these conditions be met in the permitting process. Not to say that you couldn't build something and it couldn't be unpermitted, which I am not advising you to do so. I'm just saying for it to be fully permitted and to give your property the most value from a legal standpoint and having the most capability of selling that property for its max market value. All right. Now, I want to move to Springfield, guys. Springfield has always been on the forefront of making accessory dwelling units more accessible. They actually were, I believe, at one time, if not waiving a portion or all of the permitting cost, and or creating a plan or a planning division around ADUs and making sure that builders and homeowners could get their ADUs built quickly with plans and creating a system to making it easier than Eugene or Lane County. Now, that seems to be the case these days with the city of Springfield. They are being the brother to the sister and the big sister or aunt that is always getting things done sooner, quicker, faster, easier, cheaper, because they know they have the opportunity to be able to excel by having the flexibility of their own jurisdiction. Okay. Now, accessory dwelling unit within Springfield can be an apartment created with an existing home or garage, an addition onto a home or above a garage, or built as a freestanding cottage created by converting an existing dwelling of less than 800 square feet and building a primary dwelling or designing and constructing as part of a new housing development. Okay. Just want to be really clear here. There's a lot of information in the Springfield planning and public works page, which I'll put the link below. But I just wanted to say that a temporary waiver of systems development charges, what we call SDCs, for ADUs through June 30th, 2027, subject to annual review, the city of Springfield is waiving transportation, stormwater, local wastewater system development charges for newly permitted ADUs. This waiver reduces the cost of constructing an ADU. And long story short, code requirements can be found, blah, 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 blah. Just so what I wanted to say about all of this, applying for an ADU, in most cases, use the accessory dwelling unit type 1 application form to applying for an ADU. If your property is in the Washburn district, or if you are meeting an alternative design standard, please use accessory dwelling unit type 2 application form. Okay. Now, I just wanted to let you guys know that both of those permits, which can be found here, they make it very easy to find. Guys, let's talk about this. All right. Just like the county said they're rushing to get the proper permitting documentation, City of Springfield rolled something out, and they have submittal requirements. They have development standards. They have matching the primary dwelling. They have meet clear and objective standards, right? They have non-conforming lot and parcel sizes. They have prohibited use. Mobile homes, recreational vehicles, motor vehicles, and travel trailers cannot be used as an accessory dwelling unit. Manufactured homes and towable structures that are permitted, inspected, and approved by the local county are allowed. Okay. So very clear here on making things extremely transparent on what you need to do in order to get your ADU plan passed. And I think this is super important. Please reach out to a builder. Please reach out to an engineer or architect if you have any more questions about this. But the zoning, either R1, R2, or R3 are the options with the unit type 1. Okay. Now, in this, when you go to accessory dwelling unit type 2, the zoning of property residential, R1, R2, R3, and there is clear and concise plot plans, detailed floor plan of the ADU, elevation drawing of the ADU, and proof of ownership, right? So the second permit is based around creating a process in which, if you're not using one of the pre-designed plans that the city has to offer, you must use accessory dwelling unit type 2 permit. And you're going to take your architect's drawing or engineering drawing, whatever it is, and you're going to be able to submit that with this permit because it has to go through planning. All right. And I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that there's 2 types of permits with the city of Springfield. Now, breaking into the city of Eugene, headaches. Every time I say the city of Eugene, I don't know, millions of dollars of investment property in the city of Eugene. And every time they do anything, I want to cringe. Sorry if you're in the city of Eugene and you heard me say that, but it is the case. They have one positive aspect, and that is pre-approved accessory dwelling unit program. And these plans, they have a library of ADUs that are pre-approved plans. And then the City of Eugene ADU's design includes customizable options to allow for variations in exterior materials and roof style. This program helps the city meet community goals that expressed through the Envision Eugene by providing more housing and more diverse options throughout the city. Yet, they still have a massive housing shortage. And I just want to be very clear here. The only reason this is allowed to happen and the only reason they're creating these plans is because for the longest time, people were doing whatever they wanted. They weren't getting them permitted. And then real estate was coming up for sale. It wasn't passing appraisal. There was a bunch of issues. There was housing, electrical, plumbing, foundation issues because there wasn't a system set up. So there are positives in all of this. But what I want to talk about is the facts about ADUs in Eugene. Okay? ADUs in Eugene are currently allowed in all neighborhoods. All. Doesn't matter what it is. You might want to talk with HOAs, bylaws, CCNRs. Let me explain this for a second. They're saying ADUs are currently allowed in all neighborhoods, but I know for a fact that there are HOAs, CCNRs that specifically spell out you cannot have an ADU on your property. So what happens there? Whose law trumps who? Is the HOA in charge? If the city says that you could do them in all neighborhoods, right? There's a point of contention that I could see be an issue. Obviously, consult an attorney to get what you need to get in terms of information on that. Now, ADUs can be maximized of 800 square feet or 10% of the lot area in most zones, whichever is smaller. In most zones, right? Whichever is smaller. So there is some discrepancy in that 10% of the lot area in most zones. We need to know which zones, right? ADUs in most zones only need to meet the design standards required for ADUs and are not subject to other residential design standards. Well, that's positive. ADUs do not require additional off-street parking. Now, that can be an issue. What happens if the street is already impacted by parking, especially around the university? You build an ADU on that property now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are going to live there. Now we have more of a parking issue. So that needs to be addressed. Owner occupancy of either unit is not required. Just want to be clear here. This can always be a rental. That's positive. ADUs are not restricted by minimum lot size, lot dimension, or maximum density. That's a positive. ADUs are allowed on alley access lots and flag lots. That's a positive. System development charges, SDCs again, can be financed through the city for up to 10 years. I think how Eugene responded was that they were making an 800 square foot maximum versus Springfield's, I believe, is 900 square foot maximum. Let me go back here so I'm not contradicting myself. City of Springfield. Bear with me for a second, guys. I want to make sure that I'm not giving you the wrong information. 800 square feet. That looks like both cities have adapted the 800 square feet maximum. Okay. Now, there is a pre-approved ADU due diligence checklist with the City of Eugene. Very, 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 very important to check out. Okay. Also, there's a user guide. There's an accessory dwelling unit fact sheet for properties in city limits. There's an accessory dwelling unit fact sheet for unannexed properties within the urban growth boundary. And then there are some FAQ answers, and they have the permitting process for the ADUs so that you can reach out and look at all of the information. And now I want to show you the online gallery. They have some cool options here. And I just wanted to say, guys, that the City of Eugene actually knocked it out of the park. And typically that is not the case, as I said before, in terms of cringing when it came up to ADUs. Now, that being said, what is it going to cost? Obviously, you're going to want to reach out to a licensed contractor and get bids. All you have to do is take those plans and give them to a contractor to get a price per square foot estimate. What that means is that your finish levels, interior, your HVAC, your technology, your electrical, your plumbing, everything that is not standard is going to raise and lower the price based upon what your finishes are ultimately going to be. but you're trying to get multiple bids in order to get a clearer picture of what that price per square foot is to build that ADU. Now, calculating the cost of ADU, I have a link to a buildinganadu.com. If you own this website, I really appreciate it. I'm using it for this video because there's amazing information, and I hope people traffic your website so you can get paid for it. But there is just a ballpark cost per square foot. These are from self-reported total development costs. And I don't know how accurate these numbers are, but what I do know is this. Typically, 10 years ago, you could build a house between $125 a square foot and $175 a square foot without the land. Okay. Then when COVID happened and construction costs just skyrocketed, we were way over $200 a square foot in most cities. I'm not saying that's everywhere. On the West Coast, that is. Typically, when you go to purchase real property in Eugene, Springfield, $255 to $285 a square foot is a pre-existing structure on real property. So builders, if they're building to scale or building luxury properties, there's a discrepancy in price per square foot. So what I want to be very clear here is smaller homes without the land considered always are going to be more price per square foot than you actually think. You would think a smaller house price per square foot is way less. You're thinking a luxury house price per square foot is way more. Now, it's kind of this weird system of inversion that's happening. On real property, when you include the real property plus the improvement value, which is the structure, this is very important for ADUs to understand. 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses, 2-bedroom, 2-bath houses are entry-level priced homes. So there's always going to be an entry level to the market of the price of homes. Typically, the price per square foot is in the 300s. Okay. Then when you go into 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-bath, 4-bedroom, 1-bath, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, before you get to the luxury home price point, you have this inversion that happens with price per square foot, where we're getting $255 to $285 a square foot, $295 a square foot, or low $300 a square foot for well-built, well-remodeled, update, single-family residences without ADUs. Then when we go into the luxury price point, newer construction, luxury priced finish level homes, A condition assets, when you're looking at single-family residence, price per square foot starts to move into the high 300s, into the $400 a square foot. Now, places like New York, LA, big cities, very expensive zip codes, you're over $1,000 a square foot. So when you're looking at building an ADU, I just gave you a good benchmark of what real property plus improvement value is selling for in the city of Eugene. So if you're looking at a detached new construction above garage ADU, they're building a garage in an ADU. Obviously, $217,000 is pretty accurate in terms of a self-reported number, right? It's over $200,000 because you're building a garage and an ADU with all the finishes and all the permits and everything else. But this is what I want to say. A DADU, a detached ADU versus an attached accessory dwelling unit, granny unit, whatever you want to call it. Price per square foot is going to be based upon a number that is relative to the market. So I can't sit here and tell you this is what ADUs cost in Eugene and Springfield and Lane County. But what I can tell you is if you understand what price per square foot is, and you understand, does it make sense to add an ADU to a property? It's going to give you a clear understanding of, is this a good investment for the long-term equity appreciation of my property? Guys, I'm not just saying this. You could listen to me all the way through this video. I just sold a single-family residence plus a permitted ADU for $420,000, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-bedroom, 1-bath studio for a record price per square foot that appraised for $40,000 more market value than it was last appraised during refinance. Okay. So you have to look at money in, your cash on cash return of, if I buy this house and then I build an ADU, what is acquisition cost plus construction costs, all in, permitting, finishes, construction, permitting, planning, architecture, whatever, design, everything. House plus ADU plus real property, land, all of that being said, what type of margin of return or equity appreciation percentage velocity am I going to get? What is the after repair value going to be? All right. So I want to be really clear here that this video is all about understanding that should you or should you not build an ADU if you can't use it for short-term rentals. Average rent on a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house in Eugene, depending on where you are, if you're by the university or not by your university, is anywhere between, on the low end, $775 to $825, a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, all the way up to $1,200 for a new construction or an ADU well placed in really nice zip codes or neighborhoods. When I say really nice, I mean price per square foot is high. So you have to look at what the gross operating income of that ADU operating as a rental property is going to bring you back. Let's just say you spent $144,000 to build that ADU, all in. And every month that property makes you $1,000. That means that $12,000 without expenses, taxes, insurance, anything else, your gross operating rent on that property is $12,000. Your break-even point, your gross rent multiplier just for the ADU is 12 years to get all of your money you invested back. But if the house is appreciating with that ADU at a higher rate of return and you can lower your break-even point, then that ADU play is definitely going to raise rent as years go by and go by and go by. But it's a supply and demand thing, right? Where is that point of diminishing returns, and where is that point where rent is really going to be capped by its maximum threshold by the availability of units and the demand on supply and on price, right? It's that push and pull. What I want to always tell everybody is if you're in a great school district or you're by the university or you're near major attractions like wineries or the river or concert venues or downtown walking distance, building an ADU is an absolute great idea. It's not only going to add rental income to your property, but also it's going to create more value add to your investment, which i.e. is your home or primary residence. In the event you ever were going to move out of your current residence, your primary residence plus ADU, and rent those 2 units, you now have 2 doors, like a duplex, which are typically selling anywhere between $425 on the low end, all the way up to $750, which I've set the record in most zip codes. And that is going to give you some understanding of how to create wealth through real estate by understanding the jurisdiction, understanding the permitting process, understanding does this make sense, and what do I need to do in order to the step-by-step process of hiring and vetting contractors, getting the permits and planning together, figuring out the design layout, and understanding the parameters of what you can actually feasibly do. We always call that the feasibility test of an investment property. And so if you're going to build an ADU or you need somebody to take a second look at your current home value plus building that ADU and projecting out what we could possibly look at as an after repair value, an ARV, please reach out. I'm going to put all my contact information below. I am licensed in the entire state of Oregon. There are certain markets I don't operate in, but if it's anywhere the regional multiple listing services, the RMLS, we are operating. We have access to data. We have referrals to agents in those other MLSs. I want to be a resource for you, but I wanted to shoot this video on all about ADUs and understanding where to get the data and information in Lane County, in Eugene, in Springfield, if you're deciding to build. Thanks so much, guys. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I have referrals to contractors, engineers, architects, anybody and everybody regarding the process. Take care.